Hey everyone, it's Jananie and welcome back to my channel, This Story Ain't Over. So today I'm coming to you with a chill little Q&A. It's the end of the year, so I felt like I wanted to share a little bit more about myself, especially to those of you who are new to my channel, and just give you something chill to watch and learn more about me and about my channel. And I know a lot of you have like different questions about whether it's my job or my personal life or reading or whatever, so I wanted to kind of answer those for you. So I put out a call for questions on Instagram and YouTube, so I will try to answer all of those. I won't call out specific questions, but I did write down a lot of like similar themes and I'll try to answer those. Also, I'm very tired right now, so please excuse me for any kind of lack of energy because it's a Friday night. It's like 7 p.m. I've been working for like longer than 8 hours, a regular work day, and I wanted to sit down and film this video regardless. And I honestly think I'm just gonna nap after this, but let's just get right in. Okay, so I have like 4 categories for this Q&A. A lot of the questions kind of revolved around similar things. So the first category is my job and what I went to school for, so I will answer that in the first section. And then the second section I'll go over Booktube questions and YouTube questions and that kind of thing. The third section is kind of just general questions about reading and my reading. And then the fourth section is just other random questions that I got as well that I wanted to answer. So let's jump into the questions relating to my job and to school. So a lot of you were curious about my job because I do work in publishing and I've been working in publishing for about 1.5 years now. And so a lot of you were curious about what I studied in school and what I majored in. So I went to the University of Toronto, St. George campus, downtown Toronto in Canada, because I am Canadian. So I went to U of T for English and history. So those were my 2 majors and I absolutely loved my time there. I did commute downtown from my home, which is outside of downtown, so that was a bit of a struggle, but I loved studying there and I loved just studying literature and learning history. And I had always kind of intended to study English and history, or at least English, when I was in high school, because I always was interested in books and kind of publishing and also just writing, and so I always wanted to go into something related to liberal arts, so that's why I chose those majors. And although you can get into publishing without technically having like a English degree, I still wanted to study that because that was just where my passion was, and so I thought I would enjoy it, which I did end up enjoying, even though I tried to change my major like 10 bajillion times while I was still in school because I had, you know, crises every 5 seconds about what I was gonna do with my life. But I still really enjoyed it and I'm happy that I stuck it through and that I came out on the other side. So a lot of you were curious about how I got my job. So it's a long story, but I'm gonna tell it to you anyway. So I graduated from the University of Toronto in the spring of 2019, and I had intended to do another graduate program at another university in Toronto to get into publishing. And so it was called like a publishing certificate, and you could take various courses that related to publishing, and it also had opportunities for internships. But the program was kind of expensive, so I couldn't take all the courses I wanted to like at once. Like I couldn't take multiple courses in one semester, so I decided to just start with one course in the summer after I graduated university. And then I took that course, and as I was doing it, the university also hooked me up with opportunities for internships. And so I was lucky enough to find this opportunity for an internship with one of the big 5. I'm not gonna tell you which one because privacy, but I ended up getting the internship at one of the big 5 companies, but it was like a satellite office in Toronto, so it was like a Canadian version of the New York publishing industry, and it was a very small office, and I was one of 2 interns that were working for that stretch of 4 months. And so that's what I was doing for September to December of 2019, and I learned a lot. But I was also an intern, so I was getting like office supplies and like coffee and, you know, mailing stuff and a lot of just not really productive things. But I did end up getting more responsibility the more I worked there, and by the end of it I felt like I had gotten a nice sense of the publishing industry and where I could go in it, and also the parts of it that I liked and didn't like. So I did learn that I didn't particularly love publicity stuff, but I did really like marketing stuff and sales stuff. And my internship had nothing to do with editorial, which is something that I never really intended to go into when I wanted to do publishing. In the years since I started my booktube channel, I realized that I really like marketing and, you know, talking about books and getting people excited about books, and that's something that you do usually in marketing. So that was kind of the trajectory that I wanted to go in. And so when I was in my internship, I noticed that I kind of liked that more. And so I could actually see myself kind of working in publishing, but there was definitely some dark days when like I was an intern and, you know, It was the type of internship where I wasn't getting paid. I got an honorarium at the end of the internship, but it didn't even amount to like a minimum wage. So that is one thing that you have to think about if you want to go into publishing. Publishing in general just has a tendency to do a lot of unpaid internships. They're trying to change that a lot more now, but in general there's a lot of those. And you also have to, you know, go to work in like very expensive cities like New York or Toronto, and it's kind of different with the pandemic right now, but it's definitely a huge hurdle for a lot of people. So that was kind of my experience. And so towards the end of that internship, I started looking for other job opportunities at other publishers. And so I applied to a lot of publishers, and I got through a few rounds of interviews at a big 5 publisher as well, not the one that I was interning at, but at a different one. But when I didn't get that one, I ended up applying to a different publishing company, a smaller one in Canada, that was gonna have this paid internship. And so I was like, okay, like I can handle another internship if it's paid. So I went for that one, and I ended up getting that job, and I was really excited about it because it was kind of a new and innovative company. And since they were new, I as an intern got to do a lot more things than I would have gotten to do at any other publisher. So as I said, in my first internship at one of the big 5, I like barely got to do any kind of important stuff. I was doing very interny things. But in my second internship, which started in January of this year in 2020 at this new small Canadian publisher, I had the opportunity to do so many things. I got to write descriptions for books. I got to, you know, email other authors to get blurbs for our books. I got to help with some marketing plans and set up an influencer program as well. And I think they had kind of hired me as a long-term investment, which was really great because I was kept on after my internship for a lot longer as a contractor for a little bit. And so my job title after that was publishing coordinator, and that has been my title until the end of this year. And starting in 2021, my title will be marketing and sales coordinator because I've kind of gotten promoted and given a bit of a bigger role on the team, which is really exciting. But yeah, that was basically kind of how I got my job. You know, I went through that first internship, and then I went into that second internship. And because of the nature of the company and the fact that I had worked another internship and had all my YouTube experience, that really helped me out in the job and kind of do fun and interesting things while I was there. And they really liked me, so they decided to keep me on, and I was able to continue proving myself until I was kind of hired full time. So the next kind of job related question that people had was, what do you do during your job? What does your typical workday look like? And what's your title? So as I just said, my title was publishing coordinator, and starting in 2021, it's going to be marketing and sales coordinator. So what I do at my job, I do everything from like getting sales presentations together, to creating marketing plans, to writing descriptions for our books, to running a influencer program, to also running the social media for our publisher. And so my typical workday includes a lot of meetings, a lot of brainstorming ideas for social media, for marketing. It also involves a lot of emails. You would not believe how many emails you would have to send while doing a marketing job, but for some reason you do, so that is the thing. And some days I'll be like taking a chunk of my day to go take Instagram pictures for our Instagram, and other times I'm like mailing a bunch of stuff out for our influencers, and that's also a fun thing. So my job kind of ranges from like a lot of different places. I also do some really mundane things like, you know, sales reports and slide presentations and that kind of thing. So it's not all glitz and glamour, but it has a nice variety, and I really enjoy most of the stuff that I do. And my whole life kind of revolves around books, and so this has kind of nicely worked out, which I enjoy. And it's also fun because I get to do a lot of the things that I kind of do with my booktube channel, but I get to be on the other side of it. So one person asked what my favorite part of my job is, and it's really hard. I think it's a cross between like, you know, coming up with fun and interesting ideas and ways to market a book, which is always fun. And then I also just really like seeing the impact that like a marketing plan or campaign might have on the actual sales of a book, which is really cool. Someone asked if my job is good for book lovers. So this really depends on the type of book lover you are. So there's the type of book lover who just likes to read and then not do anything else with that. Like they just want to read by themselves and like in their vacuum and be happy with that, or maybe talk to their friend about it, but that's about it. Maybe you're the book lover who is incessantly talking about books and incessantly shoving them in people's faces and want to see your favorite authors do really, really well. That's kind of like me. I love reading books. I've always loved reading books, and I love collecting them, but I also love kind of telling other people to pick up the books that I love, as you can tell by my booktube channel. And so in a way, I'm already doing the thing in my job, like marketing these books to you, kind of, you know, trying to convince you to pick them up. And that's part of what I'm doing as a marketing and sales coordinator. I'm just trying to get more people to pick up these books. So in that way, it is a good job for a book lover, but it's also not a good job if you're not really into marketing, if you're not into like creating fun campaigns, if you're not into social media, because that's a huge part. And if you're also not into seeing the behind the scenes of how a book gets made, because sometimes there's a magic to having a final product in your hand and not knowing how it came to be. And so when you work in publishing, you get to see all the nitty-gritty things that happen on the other side, and how, you know, a book might be kind of terrible before it goes through editorial, and then it's amazing. But then even at that point, you know, it doesn't seem like anyone will want to read it until like the marketing team like creates this really amazing campaign, and then everyone wants to read it. And so, you know, you're seeing the way that this thing gets, you know, shoved into the world and people start to recognize it. And so if you don't really like to see the like underbelly or underside of things, then it's not really a great job for you. Like if you want to keep the magic alive, then it's kind of hard. And it also involves a lot of reading of like unfinished manuscripts or early manuscripts, or just reading books that you can't add to your Goodreads goal. Like that's one of the most annoying things. That's the most challenging thing of my job. The fact that I have to read a bunch of books for my job, but I cannot add them to my Goodreads goal, drives me nuts, because I'm reading them like a year before they're gonna come out, or like 2 years before they're gonna come out, and I'm like, this is freaking torture. And it's also like you can't talk about them to anyone but your coworkers, but it's like you and your coworkers are also kind of tired of these books because you've been working on them for so long. And then the last question relating to my job in publishing is tips for someone who wants to work in publishing. And so this really depends on the person you are, but you know, it takes a lot of grit and kind of perseverance, I feel like, both getting into the industry and also like holding on in the industry, because it is not like the most amazing pay. It really is for the type of person who loves books, but it also involves like a lot of like extra work, like reading books on your weekends or in your evenings. But it's also kind of a hard place if you are a person of color. Publishing is notoriously a space of white women, and then a lot of white men in like managerial positions. So as a person of color, it's kind of hard to get your foot in the door or kind of contend with all of the things that are kind of going on, because a lot of times you're dealing with not much representation in the books that your company is publishing, and so you have to fight for everyone that you want to put on the shelves. And this isn't the case for everyone and all the time, but like I have had to fight for a diverse book that I thought should have been published, but you know, it took convincing of more higher ups to do that. And it like really depends. Some companies are making more of an effort to publish more diverse stories now, but this is only something that's starting to gain traction now, and publishing is a very old industry. Trying to find your space in that is really hard, and I don't feel like I'm summing this up very well, but it's just something to be cognizant of if you want to go into the industry, that it might not be the most welcoming place, or it might not be the most nice place to walk into when you're the only person of color in the room. And then another tip I just want to throw out here is that, you know, persevere. You are going to have to go through multiple internships to get to the place that you want to be, but you also have to ask for opportunities that you want to be given, and you have to follow through on those opportunities. You have to show them all that you have so that they believe you and that they start to trust you and want to give you more exciting things to do. Oh my god, I've been talking for like ages, but next section. All right, so next questions are based off of Booktube and YouTube. So the first question is, what inspired you to start your channel and when did you start? So I've mentioned this quite a few times before, but I started my channel at the end of 2017. I had just gone through a bit of a crisis where I wasn't feeling as creative as I used to feel. I had been trying to write a book for a while and hadn't been succeeding. I was halfway through university and felt like I, you know, didn't like what I was doing and I needed to rethink everything. And I had also like attempted to switch universities and switch my majors and all of that, and had came back with my tail between my legs and decided that I wanted to stick with this. And so at that time I had wanted to try something new, and then I had been watching Booktube for years and years and years. And I was like, well, why don't I start a Booktube? And so I remember going through my journal actually the other day from 2017, where I was like writing down reasons to start Booktube. And there were a lot, but I just kind of wanted to do it, and I always loved talking about books, and so I wanted to do it with more people, and I thought it would just be something kind of cool. And then I started it, and it kind of flopped at the beginning because I wasn't very consistent. I didn't know how to film a video. I didn't know how to talk to a camera. So there was a lot of hurdles that I had to jump through. And I think I kind of restarted my channel around April of 2018, and I started posting more and being more consistent, and I think that's really where I feel like my channel started. But yeah, that's what inspired me to start my channel. I just wanted to be creative again and feel like my story wasn't over yet. That was this poem that I had written, and the last line was like, this story ain't over yet. So I wanted to use that as my channel name, and here we are. This story ain't over, and we're gonna keep going. Next question is technical / general advice for someone wanting to start booktube or starting booktube. I'm gonna keep this short because this is like a whole giant topic, and I was gonna do a whole how to booktube series, but I got busy and I couldn't really commit to it. But maybe one day I will do a whole video on like technical advice for starting booktube. But the main things I would say is, in terms of technical stuff, is get good lighting, learn to talk to a camera, so practice, and then 3 is learn to use jump cuts. So a lot of times you will make mistakes while you're talking, and so you just need to learn to cut those out of the videos to make it nice and streamlined. And the general advice that I have is don't give up after the first video. Even if at the beginning, you know, you feel like your content is terrible, you need to give yourself the time to be terrible in order to practice and get better and be better. Because if you go watch my like old videos, my first few videos are absolutely terrible, and you know, the angles of the camera are off, and I'm not really talking directly at the camera, or like my energy is kind of off. And so there's so many things that, you know, you don't know how to do at the beginning, and you need time to kind of practice. And the more you make videos, the better you will get at it, and you just need to give yourself that room to make some mistakes. All right, the next few questions revolved around tips for staying motivated to do all the stuff: read, film, edit, post. This is a big one and a really hard one. I remember at the beginning of starting my booktube, I had a lot of trouble staying motivated to like film and edit videos. I had a tendency to film a bunch of videos and then not edit them until it was like too late to post them, like they were TBR or like a book haul or whatever. So that was a big issue. And now my motivation really relies on like knowing that you guys are waiting for a video, knowing that I want to continue to grow my channel, but also knowing that this is like something that I enjoy and love to do, and you know, talking about books brings me joy. So it's really kind of hard, but like a few little tips that I have is that for filming, I tend to like bulk film a bunch of videos on one day so that I don't have to continuously like keep putting on makeup on different days and get excited to film. Like I just kind of do them all in one day, and then I don't have to deal with filming like for the rest of the week. And then for editing, I try to like schedule my videos so that like I film them all on one day, but then I know when the next one is supposed to go up, and I have like a North Star of when that video is supposed to go up, so I have to edit it by then. And if I don't, like sometimes I don't, I like force myself to do it the next day. And honestly, that just comes with time and like discipline, like, you know, knowing you have to edit this video, and so just doing it. And then reading is like a totally different kind of thing. Like having the motivation to read is like totally different, because like half the time I have so many things to do, and including doing YouTube. YouTube takes so much time, and so that takes time away from reading, which is like a whole conundrum. But like reading, I don't really need a necessary motivation because I just love doing it. But sometimes I'm motivated to read just because I want to talk about it in a video. Someone asked, how do you feel about your journey on booktube? I feel like pretty good about it. This year has been really amazing for my channel. I went from like 15,000 subscribers at the beginning of this year to 42,000 I think now, and that's incredible growth for me. That's more than I've ever grown in a single year. And although it's like taken me quite a while to get to like 40K even, I feel like there's a reason for that. Like I feel like my content really came together more this year than it did like even in previous years, and I feel like I've focused more on my channel this year, which has been really great, and I want to continue doing that in 2021. So I feel like just the more energy that I've put into my channel, the, you know, more fruits I have reaped, or whatever the saying is. But yeah, I feel really great about it, and I, you know, have met some really amazing people through booktube. And although like I might not be super close with them, like I still have these connections, and I know other book lovers, and that's just really nice. And I've also cultivated a lot of like really great business relationships with other publishers, and have managed to create a consistent income from my channel, which is really incredible for me. It feels like a kind of part-time job or another full-time job that I have, and I kind of treat it that way, and I like that. I like that this thing that brings me so much joy is also bringing me a little bit of money. Okay, someone asked, what's your fave and least fave thing about being a booktuber? This is hard. My favorite thing is obviously talking about books. I love doing this, and hearing your responses to my videos and what you guys are reading, and just reactions and all of that, and talking about books with you guys in the comments. My least favorite thing is probably just having to put in the work. Like it's just a lot of work, but also having to be a kind of public figure. It's like strange in a way, because like this is a very small part of the internet that interacts with me and knows of me, and outside of that I am not cool in any way, shape, or form. But it's kind of having to put yourself out there in a way is very strange and not fun, but I also enjoy that putting myself out there has brought me this kind of community. Someone asked, what do you wish you had known before starting booktube? This is also hard. I wish someone had told me how to film videos better, or I wish I had figured that out like earlier. And I also wish that someone would have told me that you're not gonna make friends immediately while you're on booktube. It's kind of hard depending on the person you are, but I'm quite an introvert. Like I'm I'm like an ambivert, kind of. I'm very extroverted with people I know really well, but I'm very introverted with people I don't know well. So it's very hard for me to make virtual friends when I started Booktube, and I knew like so many people who were like friends with each other, and like they had their own little like cliques and stuff, and I was not part of any of those. And so at the beginning I felt like a lot of like FOMO, but then I realized that like it wasn't that big of a deal, and I have learned to be better with just reaching out to the people and interacting more in the community and not being so like in my own bubble. So that was kind of hard, but I feel like I've gotten better at it, and I've made a lot more friends since then, so that's been good. Someone asked, who are your favorite booktubers to watch? I have a bunch. One is Liv from Stories for Coffee. She has wonderfully made videos, and she always has really intelligent things to say about books. I absolutely love Chloe from Books with Chloe because I just love her channel and everything she does. And like, she is just one of my favorite YouTubers to watch just to like calm down. I love her ASMR videos, I love her journal videos, but like also her vlogs just like chill me out and are like the perfect thing I want to watch when I'm like stressed out. I also love Lala from Books and Lala because she just has like the best videos and the most interesting concepts to her TBRs and just vlogs and everything, and she just puts so much work into her channel, which I love. And then I also love Sajid from Books Are My Social Life. They have some really insightful videos and really great discussions about different topics in the booktube community as well that I always find so interesting to watch. And I am nowhere near eloquent as they are, but I wish I was. So they're also a channel that I love. Someone asked, have you ever been recognized? Story time, I have once. So I don't know if you guys know, but I used to work at a bookstore, Chapters Indigo. It's like one of the big retail chains in Canada for books. And I used to work there part-time. I stopped working there since like the fall of this year, but I used to work there a lot pre-pandemic. And at one point, I think in early 2020 or like late 2019, I was working at the cash desk, and there was this girl who was buying a teen book, and so she came up to my till, and then she kind of looked at me, and then she had like this expression on, and then she's like, do you have a YouTube channel? And I'm like, what? Yes. How do you know? And then she's like, I saw your name on like the staff pick stickers, and then I thought I recognized it, and then I saw you, and then, you know, I recognized you. And so she didn't seem like someone who was like really my fan. She just kind of had seen me on YouTube and on Booktube and had heard of me and knew my name. And so she was like, oh, are you like this person? And I was like, yeah. And then it was just so weird. My coworker thought it was like super cool that I got recognized, but I was like, oh my God, this is like the most awkward situation. But other than that, I have not gotten recognized, also because like with the pandemic, I've been at home. But yes, if you ever see me in the wild, you know, when Corona isn't ravaging the world, say hi and, you know, let me know if you're a fan. I would love to meet you. I just hope I'm not super awkward, so please forgive me if I'm super awkward. Someone asked, how long do your videos take to make? It really depends on the video. If it's like a TBR video, it usually takes me like maybe half an hour to film, and then another like half an hour to an hour to edit, and then posting it takes another like 30 minutes-ish to like set up the description and all that. But then there's also like other videos where there's a lot of overlays on the screen, which take a lot longer to edit. And then there's other videos like vlogs where there's just more filming to do, so those take longer. So it just really depends. I'm pretty quick with editing, I feel like. I've gotten really quick at it. And then filming, I also feel like I've gotten really quick at it. I usually film in big long takes, and then I edit out the pieces in between. And so it really depends on the videos, but most videos don't take me longer than an hour to film. And usually it's a lot less than that. Usually it's like half an hour. And sometimes it's even as short as like 20 minutes. Because if it's like a 10-minute video, then I'll usually go about to 20 minutes. But if it's like a half an hour long video, then, well, God knows how long that is. But yeah, that's kind of the rule of thumb. Someone asked, what do I use to edit? I use Final Cut Pro 10 on my MacBook Pro. I got a new laptop last year when I had spilled coffee on my previous one. So I got Final Cut Pro with it, which was an upgrade for me because I had previously been using iMovie. So up until then I was using iMovie perfectly fine, but I do like Final Cut Pro because I get to add more elements into my videos and make them look a little more fancy, which I like. But I definitely am not using Final Cut Pro to its like full potential, so there's also that. Okay, we're moving on to the next section of questions, which have to do with reading. Okay, so someone asked, how has the pandemic affected your reading? So this is a really good question, and I don't actually know how it has affected it, because on the one hand I feel like I have read less this year, but that's also because I was working full-time for all of this year, which was like the first time I was doing that. But I also feel like the pandemic created a lot of stress and anxiety for me, so a lot of times it was also hard to read. But then on the flip side, because of the pandemic, I was at home a lot more, so I had a lot more free time, and so I was able to pick up books because of that. So I think it's like a half and half. It's like definitely been a stressful year altogether, and so reading on top of that has been kind of difficult, but then having the extra time has been nice. Someone asked, what's a character you find most relatable and represents you? I definitely think it would have to be Frank from Frankly in Love by David Yoon. That's one of my favorite books from last year, and the big reason why I loved it was because I related to the main character Frank so much and his situation, because Frank is a Korean American kid. His parents are immigrants from Korea. They don't speak English very well. They have their own family politics and things, and Frank is kind of straddling this feeling of being not Korean enough and not American enough and being both, and trying to reconcile that. And that was something that I have always really struggled with as a child of immigrants in Canada. My parents are immigrants from Sri Lanka, and I've never visited Sri Lanka, so I have always kind of struggled with that dual identity, and it's a really weird place to be in. And so I really related with Frank in Frankly in Love, and it really hit a chord with me. So yeah, I love that book. Highly, highly recommend. Someone asked, how has your reading taste changed? I have a whole video on that, so go check that out. I will link it somewhere here or in the description. But long story short, I feel like I've gone from just reading whatever kind of books were available to me to now being very intentional about my reading and reading a lot more BIPOC authors and, you know, books where I could see myself in. And someone asked, who are your auto-buy authors? So my auto-buy authors are definitely Marie Lu, Lee Bardugo, Sabaa Tahir, and Roshni Chokshi. All right, and now we're on to the last section of this Q&A. This Q&A has already gotten ridiculously long, so these are just kind of random other questions that I had that didn't relate to the first 3 sections. Okay, so the first one is, how do you balance your commitments, school, work, YouTube, reading? I don't. I'm really bad at balancing them, but I think I've gotten better at it. This is the first full year where I've been working full-time. Before that, I was like in school or working part-time, so I had a little bit more time, but this year has definitely been a struggle. So I have my 9 to 5 job, and sometimes it goes longer than that some days, but usually I spend my evenings like reading or reading before bed. When I used to commute to work, I would read on the train, and then usually I try to do my filming on weekend mornings, so Saturday or Sunday mornings, or the rare occasional evening like I am today. And then I also edit in like the evenings, or I take like a day on like the weekend and try to just rip through a bunch of YouTube work. But that's also really different when like I have a lot of social engagements. So the pandemic year has been kind of strange because I, haven't been going out as much, so I've had more time to kind of work on YouTube. But in other situations, I would probably be going out more and, hanging out with my friends or whatever on the weekends. So it's a different kind of case. But I do tend to schedule out my stuff really, really well, especially this year. I schedule my content out on Notion, so I know when I have to film things, when I have to edit things, and when things are going up. So I really try to stick to my deadlines and keep myself accountable. Someone asked, since most of your life revolves around books and publishing, what do you do to decompress and self-care? And this is a really good question, and a lot of people have asked me this before because my entire life revolves around books. My job is in publishing, my side job is Booktube, so I read a lot, and then just personally I love books, and I do also enjoy writing, so my entire life kind of revolves around books. But I think for decompressing, reading in a way does relax me, but other times it really stresses me out when I have to like read for work or read for YouTube, and it does sometimes feel like work for me. But to decompress, like I usually like, watch a sitcom, or I try to like get on a call with a friend or someone I care about and, just chill out. Or I usually like to just go out with friends if it weren't the pandemic. Like I love going out to eat. That really calms me down. And I also find journaling really calming as well. And I'm gonna try and do more journaling in 2021 and do some more videos for you guys, but that also helps me decompress. Someone asked, do you have siblings? Yes, I do. I have 2 older sisters. One is 3 years older than me and one is 6 years older than me. And they are very cool and interesting people, and I don't know how much they want me to reveal about them on my channel, so I don't really talk about them as much. They're very shy about showing up on my channel, and same with my parents as well. So that is the reason why you haven't seen them, but maybe one day you will get to see a video with them. But yeah, I have 2 older sisters. And the last question that someone asked is my hair care routine. And oh my god, so many people have asked me this, and my hair looks like terrible in this video, so I hate to be like giving this advice in this video, but I'm just gonna go through it really quickly. When I shower, I use sulfate-free shampoo. I either use one of these 2, I'll put them on the screen. I forget what they're all called right now, but the regular one that I use makes my hair really soft and like makes it really easy to get out tangles. So in the shower, I really like get out all of my tangles, and then after I wash out the shampoo, I use a really deep conditioner. Usually I use like some coconut thing and really deep condition. After that, I wash that out, and then I use this other product, and I can't remember the name now, and I will put the picture and the name on the screen, but I use that, and what I do is I do like one pump and I put it all over my hair, like, you know, root to tip, and then I do another pump and I do that for half of my hair, so one side, and then I do another pump and I do that for the other half of my hair, and then I leave that in. It's like a leave-in hair curl activator. And I get out of the shower and whatever, and then after that I diffuse my hair. I use a blow dryer with the diffuser thing on it, and I kind of scrunch my hair from the bottom and up to the roots like that, and dry it a little bit, but I don't dry it completely. I kind of dry it over the surface so that it's not like sopping wet, and so that the curls are kind of defined, and then I stop and then I let it air dry for the rest. And I try not to tie up my hair, and when I want my curls to stay, I never rake my hands through it because that just ruins the curls. And that's basically how it gets to where it is. I highly recommend that curl activating cream thing, and this is like a process that I have reached after many trials and errors. And the first time I actually really tried it was after going to a curly hair salon and realizing that I was, you know, washing and treating my hair very, very wrong before that, because most salons just tell you how to treat your hair for straight hair and they don't tell you how to treat your hair for curly hair. And I am like the only person in my family who has like hair like mine. My mom has similar hair to me, but hers has gotten a lot straighter as she's aged. So it's been a struggle when I was a child trying to style my hair, but I think I've gotten a hang of it now, so that's nice. But yeah, that's kind of the hair care routine, and I will leave links to the products that I use, I guess, in the description for you if you want to go check them out as well. But those are all the questions that I have for this Q&A. Thank you all so much for watching this, and if you stayed until the end, thank you so much for watching this ridiculously long video. I hope you guys enjoyed this and found some sort of value in this. A lot of you were really curious about my job, so if you were curious about that, I hope you found some answers, and I am excited to continue creating and doing the things on Booktube. Thank you all so much for 40K on my channel and for all the love you've given me over this past year. It's been a wonderful and also horrible year for 2020, and I'm just excited to see how 2021 is going to be, and I'm really excited to bring you guys along for the journey. So thank you so much for watching. Go check out my Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads in the description if you want to learn more about me and my reading, and I will see you in my next video. So please remember that this story ain't over. Bye!